What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Bat Flip, where we discuss everything baseballs. I'm Landon Raby. With me, Dylan Taylor. Caleb Mitchell in here producing as well. Appreciate him doing that. Man, Tennessee struggles again. Can't get anything going offensively, and even if they did, I don't even know what's going on. Get swept by Arkansas this weekend in a game that you're going or a series you're going into thinking like, man, this could be like setting the stage for a great rivalry. And then it just wasn't competitive all weekend. I mean, even though Tennessee took the lead in the first two games in the first inning, it still just didn't feel competitive after they, gave up that lead. It just felt like it was a mountain to climb to get back to where Arkansas was at. So you tried something new with the pitching staff. That wasn't the issue this weekend. I mean, it was offensively couldn't do anything. Defensively, you still have errors, you still have base running mistakes. I mean, just if it's not one thing, it's another. So just not a great weekend of baseball. Tennessee's just not playing really good baseball right now. So, um, I said during our show last night that let's try to like talk people off the ledge. I'm not sure if I can do that. I don't know if I can talk myself off the ledge. I mean, it's just been rough, and then you welcome Vandy this weekend, and they just are coming off a series win against South Carolina, so it's definitely not getting any easier, and something, or not even some, a lot of things need to change for Tennessee to right this ship, and time's kind of getting away from them because it's getting closer and closer to time where you got to start thinking like, is this team going to make the NCAA tournament or not?
Yeah, if I'm not on the ledge, I'm neighbors with it, brother. We're in one of those duplexes where we're sharing almost the exact same door. So I mean, yeah, you kind of brought it up. It's you know coming in, we thought problem had kind of been you're facing a lot of games where you're down after the first couple innings. It doesn't look like previous teams where you have the ability to come back. Well, I mean, Jared Dickey tried his hardest, like one swing of the bat in the first two games, and you got a lead and still couldn't hold on. So yeah, I mean, I think I think anybody that is on the ledge right now is firmly in that spot, and they've got good reason to be. Just because I mean, there's just I'm sure we'll get into it more, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of fight on this squad right now, and
Yeah.
there hasn't been for the majority of the year.
Yeah, and I'll start by saying this. Jared Dickey, I love you. Um, you know, I don't know, like he drove in four of your seven runs. I mean, where are you at without Jared Dickey this weekend? I mean, it's a lot worse. So yeah, it's just not great baseball. I mean, five errors, you're 4 for 43 with runners on. You're 1 for 22 with runners in scoring position. 1 for 22. You know who's that one hit?
I got a pretty strong guess. Yeah, it's quite frankly not to be blunt, Linda, but it's one of about three guys that look like they even wanted to play baseball this
I
weekend.
mean
Like,
that's the most it's the body language of some of these guys. It's just like, what's going on?
and about three of the guys I'm talking about, one of them's a freshman. That's not good. Like, it's
Yeah.
good that a freshman is out there, competing hard like that. And dare we say, is Dylan Dreiling one of the leaders on this team right now? I mean, if you count lead by example, he sure is in my book because there's not an overwhelming abundance of other guys that are doing it. So I don't know. I think we said it last week. Losing's one thing, but looking like you want to be out there is a whole nother one. And you got both right now. So you got a world of trouble.
Yeah, and Tennessee just couldn't make Arkansas pay for anything. I mean, they would give up walks or they give up a single, and Tennessee, like, if there was a runner on second, I mean, there was nothing to. I mean, most of the time, if there was a runner on base, Tennessee wasn't doing anything. But if there was a runner on second or third, I mean, there was just no sign of life with Tennessee. And the strikeout numbers are big, but they weren't any bigger than Arkansas's. Tennessee, looking back, they had more hits than Arkansas. They just couldn't do anything with runners on base. And, a team that's not that great offensively anyway, if they can't move runners and play a little bit of small ball, they're going to be in trouble, especially when, the starting pitching wasn't the issue and the bullpen wasn't the issue. But when you're giving up when you're not dominating the mound like maybe you did last year, you got to have some help from that offense, and they're just not getting it. And then you tack on that with the defensive errors. I mean, like, I just, I just don't know. I don't even know where to begin to even start to figure this
There's
thing out.
there's two schools of thought. There's people that are like, oh, it wasn't one thing that lost you the series or lost you the game. It's a collection of things. Like, I get what you're saying with that. Like that, people that say that, I know what you're talking about. But at the same time, I've always been like, with any team, it normally seems like there's one player or there's one play that you can go back and pinpoint and be like, that's kind of where the wheels fell off. This weekend, for me, you go back to game one, ground ball up the middle, should be a tailor made double play. And the flip from Christian Moore to Maui is messed up. And it seemed like everything exploded after that. And I, not a great toss from Christian Moore, but at the same time, kind of looks like Maui just
T Rexed it.
was thinking about, yeah, just going to first before he's got the ball in his glove. His arm suddenly became tied to his body. I don't know what happened, and maybe that's the trainer issue for why he was out the next 2 days, like we were just talking about before the show. Maybe that's it. Maybe he's got an Anthony Davis. Maybe he's done something to his shoulder where it just doesn't work for a few
Yeah.
minutes. But I mean, I get overall, you go back and look, and it is a collection of things. But that just kind of seemed, you seemed like you had some life before that. It wasn't a shootout or anything, but it seemed like a Friday night game in the
Mhm.
SEC. Like there was some good baseball being played. And then from that moment, it's besides Jared Dickey's home run the next day, there just wasn't much positive at all. And it's a play that every SEC, just about every college baseball team makes that play 9.9 out of 10 times. But it's Tennessee has not been on that same pace this year.
Yeah, and it just like, and I hate comparing the past teams, but it is what it is at this point. Um, if Jared Dickey hits that home run, I gotta think last year's team, they run roll Arkansas that day.
Off to the
Yeah,
races.
they
Yes.
smell blood in the water, and they're sharks. They're it's contagious at that point. But this team, for whatever reason, like that one home run didn't do anything. I think it's kind of like they're playing like men's league softball. It's like, guys, we only got 3 home runs we can hit. Why are we wasting them all on solo shots? So I mean, it just
Yeah.
feel like it didn't give them that much of a boost, and I don't know. I mean, the body language is something that I'm noticing, and maybe I'm reading into it a little bit more, and maybe it's just because like last year's team had guys like Evan Russell and Drew Gilbert, where they're fiery all the time. But I think Jared Dickey has a little bit of that to him as well. But there's not a whole lot else besides him.
Jared Jared Dickey's piss runs hot. We can say that. Like, print the shirt for
Yeah,
that. Like there's no concern there. But
he's
it's
the only one that look, or he's one of the few. I won't say the only one, but one of the few that looks like bases loaded, 2 outs, 3-2 count. He wants to compete. He wants the bat in his. He wants to be in the box at that point. And I'm not sure that's the case with everybody on in that lineup.
we keep saying the only one, and we don't mean that. It's just like he's one of the ones that we expected to do that this year, and he's
Mm-hmm.
doing it. And he may be the only
Mm-hmm.
one. Who else this year did we kind of expect to do? Like, you could say Blake Burke, probably just for his collection of the season. Not many other
Yeah.
guys. So, and your previous point, you know, it is a new team this year, but before, even the past 2 years, it's like when somebody got something started, they fed off each other. Now it's like
Now it's kind of
instead of
going in that
feeding,
other direction.
Yeah, instead of feeding off each other, it's watch one guy eat and hope he eats enough for everybody
Hmm.
else. And you can't have that. Like that'll beat Northern Kentucky sometimes, but it won't beat Arkansas any day out of
Yeah.
the week. And that's all you're getting right now. That's all you've been getting the last what 4 or 5 series
Hmm.
now, or SEC series. Like it just that's why you're at where you're at.
Yeah, I just think with the team the way that it is, like you're not hitting the home runs at the pace, not anywhere close the home runs you're hitting like you did last year. And like you're having a lot of strikeouts. Well, I feel like a lot of that can maybe be turned around by playing a little bit of small ball at times. Like
You've called for it the
bunt.
past couple weeks.
If
Yep.
they're going to
Yeah.
shift on every lefty, bunt down the third baseline. Dedicate a whole practice to bunting down third base. At least make them field it. Make them respect it of some sort.
Yeah.
But I mean, we get thrown out at second all the time. And what's
Maybe
the most frustrating thing is we can't throw anybody out at second.
maybe more than any team I've ever seen. I don't know how many outs I've seen at second base
Yeah,
this
it's
year.
unreal.
Just from caught stealing, trying to go to second, getting caught and run down. I don't know. We I don't know. I'm trying to come up with analogies with it like I normally do, Landon, but this team's killed. They've killed my creativity just from watching this just terrible baseball. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I just think like there's been an issue at the catcher position. I don't think there's any hiding that. I mean, you don't want to put Jared Dickey at catcher, but I think that's your only option because whoever Cal Star, Charlie Taylor, they're not hitting the ball. And like, no offense to those guys, I think they're good defensively to a certain point, but they're also not throwing anybody out at second. So you're not taking away any base runners by having them back there, and you're not gaining any base runners on offense because they haven't been able to hit the ball. So you're having to put Jared Dickey, which I think we saw it with Evan Russell. It definitely takes a toll on you for a whole season to catch that much. You saw it in
And I
in Evan Russell's numbers that it,
yeah.
it, it has an effect.
And I'm getting tired of saying no offense to the guys because it's like I know they're good guys.
Yeah.
Like they want to win, or it seems like they do. But at the same time, it's like we're saying no offense. But I feel like if Drew Gilbert even heard a comment that wasn't positive towards him, like he was pissed off and ready to go, and he's going to hit 2 bombs. He's going to make a diving play in the outfield. And he's going to gun somebody out next
Hmm.
game. Like I don't see anybody besides about 3 guys right now that if you call them out like that, they're going to respond with that. So maybe they do need to be called out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Tony V needs to do it. I don't. I'm sure he's doing it behind closed
Hmm.
doors if we know him at all.
Oh,
But
and like you've
I
seen
don't
the
know.
talent, like you've seen what it can be, and then maybe that's the
Yeah,
most frustrating part. If they're getting their head beat in every single weekend, it'd be different. But you see how they competed with LSU and probably should have won that series. Dare I say sweep? You saw that Saturday game where they just lit it up. I mean, like it's been right in front of them, but it's just like they can't put everything together. And I asked this question last night on our show, and I'll go ahead and ask you this because I think it is a fair question when you're talking about like what happened with this team. How many of these guys on this current lineup that they're the guys who like are in or out of the lineup? How many of those guys are starting on last year's team?
Jared Dickey. I mean, maybe Blake
Yeah,
Burt,
yeah. I mean
probably at
that's where
like
my thought was.
DH.
Those two guys.
Yeah, and everybody else. I
Every
mean, and there's some guys that I think could, and we just haven't. It's because of a positional problem. Like, I mean, I think Dylan Dreiling probably would have been in last year's lineup. Now he wouldn't have been hit cleanup or anything like that, where we've seen him get moved all around now. But
Mhm.
Evan Russell had the clutch factor, but I would say Dreiling's probably a better overall hitter, even being
Right.
younger. And I mean, I was kind of going to bring him up later, not as my MVP, but just a guy that seems like he wants to be there. Kavaris Tears, everything that touches his bat is hard. So
Well, and that's been part of the issue. We can't even get a ball to touch our bat, but Kavaris
yeah,
Tears is willing to throw his bat
yeah.
out there.
I'm to the point. I was going to save it for a little later in the show, but I don't know how much more I even have left to say. There's about three guys in my mind that their spot is safe, and the rest of the guys, nobody's safe. Like,
Yeah.
because how do you, Kavaris Steers, everything he hits is hard. At the beginning of the year, he wasn't in your lineup, but now how do you keep him out of it? Like, I don't know who goes from that, but at the same time, it's like somebody has to if they're not getting it done. Like, I think Dickey's safe, Burke's safe, Inslee's probably safe.
Well, even Inslee, they had Christian Scott in for him today.
Yeah, and besides that, I don't. And I mean, I don't want to bash him, but has there been a more frustrating player on this team than Maui Ahuna? I can't think of
I
one.
mean, it's tough. I mean, I hate it for the for him because like I've met him. He seems like a good dude. But I mean, he's one that I'm talking about with the body language. It just like doesn't seem like he's that interested, or he's just too frustrated that he takes it out, on defense with him. But I mean, the errors and I mean, leading the team in strikeouts, he's missed 10 games. Let's not forget about that. He missed the first 8 games, and now he's missed, I guess he's missed more than that now, but 10 games, um, including last, I guess 11 games now. Anyway, he's had a lot less games than everybody else, and he still leads the team in strikeouts. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, know Tony said that there was a trainer issue. I don't know what that means.
Does he lead the team in errors
He
too?
always got to. Got
Like,
him or Bird probably.
that's is there two categories you don't want to lead
Yeah,
in, and he's got the crown in both of them in at least 11 fewer games, and
and that's your starting shortstop, and he
yeah,
was your leadoff guy, and that just can't happen at the.
and was supposed to come in and be a
Mhm.
leader. Was supposed to come in and be one of your best players, and arguably, I mean, trainer issue. I maybe that's true, but
It doesn't sound good.
he looked fine to me. I,
Yeah, if
I
you
don't know
finish the
where
whole
the
game,
injury.
then it's a trainer issue. I mean, maybe there's a.
Maybe it was the steps
Did
going
he
out the
not
dugout.
train hard enough? I don't know. I don't know what
They
that means.
they can be slick
Yeah,
sometimes, but I mean, dear God, like
yeah,
you making enough NIL money, man. Like get some pads. Like, don't slip going down the
yeah,
steps. I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. Like
yeah. But
it's
those two positions, catcher and shortstop, have been glaring this season. I mean, those are two positions. And last year, maybe that was kind of the case, but it wasn't as bad as it is now, just because of the offense that you had. I think Cortland Lawson was a fine shortstop, but he did have times where people couldn't wait for Maui Ahuna to get here to play shortstop. And now you're like,
look how far we've come.
dang, Cortland, did you have to leave? Yeah, I mean, it sucks. And then here comes Vandy in here. But if here's a Tennessee fan in me, if I know what being a Tennessee fan is, Tennessee has beaten Vanderbilt this series because it's a roller coaster. We're just along for the ride.
Yeah,
Um, but man, this season has absolutely been a roller coaster so far, and they got to get it figured out. I mean, Chase Burns looks. I mean, his ERA in SEC play was like 11 until he pitched this weekend, and he lit it up.
looked fine to
Yeah,
me.
so I mean,
Looked more than fine.
it's
Andrew Lindsay, shout him
yeah,
out. Like looked fine
pit,
until it just the wheels came off
yeah,
filter.
pitch good
Like
enough to win. And that's all
yeah,
you're asking your starting pitching to do is pitch good enough to win, give us a chance. And they did that, but that offense just couldn't do anything.
it's like we've gotten used to, you know, the rotation of last year where it was dominance. Like you don't need dominance every time. If Andrew Lindsay gives you that every game until a fielding error and the wheels fall off it, like if he gives you that every game, like you can win and sweep every
Mhm.
series. Like, and that's a dude that wasn't that his first start of the year?
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, like I mean, and it's against Arkansas in
that's his
Fayetteville,
first
and he
start in
does that,
like 2 years.
and you still can't help him out.
Yep.
Like that's insane to me. I don't understand it.
Yeah, just
Let's get an I don't
I
understand it
mean,
counter because I
just
feel like I've said it 4
inconsistent
times
as
already.
crap. I mean, that's the only way to describe this baseball team. I mean, there. I mean, Griffin Merritt, like he was lining it up, and gets benched because he's in a slump, and then proceeds to hit 2 home runs on last Saturday, and then this weekend can't hit anything, can't even touch the ball.
Maybe we bench him every Friday game. He gets mad, and then Saturday,
Yeah,
Sunday he
I
comes back
guess
and tears it up.
that
So
might be what you do.
maybe there's a formula out there that we just haven't cracked the code
We
of yet.
need Jonah Hill from Moneyball to figure this thing out because
Yeah.
I'm lost.
He gets on base,
Yeah,
Landon. He gets on
yeah,
base. And there's only really one guy that's doing that
yeah.
right
I'm
now.
lost. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't, but it's not like this team gives up because they do fight like that. That's one thing that they do. They at least compete to the end. Now it's they're down by so much that
Yeah,
it didn't matter, but um, it's not like
there's something to be said for the fight, but at the same time, the hope
yeah.
factor plays a big deal too. Like
It's one of
you
those
line up a
things where
bunch
you're
of
like, the small kid gets in a fight with like the biggest kid. Oh man, that kid, he's got heart in him. I,
you give me a bunch of Revolutionary War soldiers, like they're going to fight till the
yeah,
death, but they that old style, they're all going to line up in a field against today's
yeah,
military. Like God bless them, they're coming to fight, but
yeah.
they're going to get
Hmm.
eliminated. Like, and that's it. Just seems like we're anywhere past the fifth inning and we're down. That's what it seems like right
Yeah,
now.
it
Is
just
about
seems
that
like
level
we're
of
dead in the
fight.
water at that point. Like there's no chance of us coming back. I mean, you can go ahead and turn the TV off because the score's probably going to be around the same.
And that was one of my favorite. That may have been my favorite thing about the past couple teams is I kind of liked when it was the seventh inning and we were down one, but you lead off the inning with a walk, and it's like, oh, here it
Yep.
comes. Like you shouldn't have done that because you're about to give the lead up now. Like it was almost automatic. Like you could almost count on it.
Yeah, it was
And
like you better
now,
score a couple more runs to pad that lead, or here we come. And yeah, this team doesn't. They just don't have that. And going back to Arkansas, anytime that we walk somebody, I think today even walk the first batter, he's still second, of course, and then they single, he scores a run. I mean, just it's that easy. But Tennessee can't figure out that formula to do that. They'll walk a guy, and then we'll pitch him on strike three, strike out at home, and get thrown out at second. We did that, I think, twice this weekend.
is there a more demoralizing play in baseball than that too? To strike them out, throw them
I
out.
think if that
It's
happens,
up there.
if that's your first 2 outs, I think it's just time to just go back to the dugout. Let's start over. Um,
Just counted as the
yeah,
third
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. Because how many rallies get started
Oh
after
yeah,
that? I don't think I remember
right.
one.
Yeah, and anytime Tennessee is able to do something or get an extra base hit or a home run, well, home run's a solo shot. I mean, they couldn't do anything with people on
Yeah.
base. I think part of that is just not being able to play any kind of small ball. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it's so easy for, and maybe you can help me out since you played catcher. How is it so easy for teams to steal bases on us and we can't even sniff a stolen base?
Part of it's very much on the pitchers because it was the same problem
Hmm.
last year. Like I mean, Evan Russell's arm wasn't great, but they didn't give him a chance a lot
Yeah.
of times. Like there were a fair amount that were on Evan, but I see the same problems this year too. Like I don't think our pitchers slide step. And last year, we were fine with it most of the time because it's like,
Who
hey,
cares? Yeah, he's on
let
second.
let them steal. Like you're going to strike them out. Who cares if he
Yeah.
gets the second? Yeah. Now it's like, a runner gets on first, go ahead and just tell him to
Mm-hmm.
go. Like you're not going to throw him out. Might as well just move him. Do the intentional walk, but for a base runner, just go ahead and let him move over. Like I I don't know because it's not like there's just terrible arms back there with Stark and Charlie. Like they're not awful, but at the same time, it's like you can't put them at they're not to the level where they can be put at a
Mm-hmm.
disadvantage. Like Yadier Molina didn't matter if it was a breaking ball in the dirt, like he was picking it and coming up shooting, like, and he still had a fair chance. You don't have that. Like you don't have half of that right now.
Well, I mean,
I
here's
mean,
here's
Enrique,
part of it too. Is like, yeah, you're probably not going to throw him out, but at least prove that you can make the throw. We haven't even proven that we can throw it on the money.
no, not even
I
close.
mean, we hit the pitcher's mound one time. We threw it into center field another time. I mean, yeah, just
And it's an avalanche
yeah.
effect. Once a team sees you can't do it, why would they? That's I had this thought today, and I wanted to ask you for. Let's throw in a little betting
Oh
segment
god.
here. I'm going to set the line over under how many steals you think Enrique
Oh
Bradfield
dude, he's
has.
licking his chops. He's like, dude, if I get the
I'm
first,
I'm
you might
put
as well just go ahead and put me on third.
half of me says sarcasm when I say this, and then I'm like, no, I think I'm being legit. I'm setting the over under at 10 steals this weekend for Enrique Bradfield. Like,
Dang.
and that anybody else would be like, hey, Dylan, you're insane. That's a high number. I'd be like, is it?
Well,
Is
I
it
mean, here's the
really?
thing: if he gets on base,
Yeah,
I mean, he gets on base
he's
five
there.
times. I mean, he probably is getting 10.
Yeah. You're talking 3 games. Say he gets 4 at bats a game. You're telling me he can't get on base at least 4 or 5 times. He don't even have to get hits at this point. He'll just get
Well,
walks.
and we haven't proved that we can field a bunt either. So I mean, he might have it
No,
easy. He can just bunt it, run it out, still second, still third. You know,
he may steal home.
I mean,
He may do it.
he's going to set a record for like most, I don't like distance ran in a baseball game.
And it's so demoralizing too because especially as a catcher like that's a matchup that should be just licking your chops at. Like he's probably going to get a couple, but if you can gun him down a couple times, like that's a situation where it's like that could be a storyline if you've got a good catcher back there. Like,
Yeah.
hey, can they limit him from beating Tennessee? And now it's just like it's what we talked about before. It's like you don't even have a puncher's chance. Like we're sitting here talking like I'm not even joking. I've put the line at 10 steals for this weekend. Like I'm sure it probably won't be that many, but if he stole 12, yep, I doesn't surprise me. Like
Gosh. And the way Tennessee has let things spiral, you know, you get him going. I mean, that's just another disadvantage that Tennessee's at where like things can just go wrong in a hurry.
because
Because
it's
you're having to
something.
worry. Not only are you having to worry about the guy at plate hitting a home run or getting a double, but you have him just making things so difficult on the base pass. I mean, it's going to be a lot to deal with. Just keep it in front of you. That's all I ask. Don't let him. If you're going to try to throw him out at second and you don't get him, don't throw it in center field. Don't let him get the third on it. At least make him steal again. Make him throw another
Yeah,
pitch.
it's what we talked about earlier. It's just another thing for their lineup to feed off of.
Yep.
Where if we were doing that, it's like okay, like there's a spark, like there's something that can get the lineup going. They've got that, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of like basketball. It's a game of runs for sure, and Tennessee just isn't able to put together any kind of runs. I mean, Tony Vitello talked about it after this weekend yesterday, and he was just like, you know, we can't put together any big innings right now. It's just like the timely hits just aren't coming. You get somebody on second with, you know, one out, he's probably staying there on second. There's, you know, big strikeouts coming or something. Every single time it seems like. I mean, we couldn't catch a break at all. Kavaris Tears is going to make it a tie ball game and hits one off the top of the fence. You have two runners on, first and second. Blake Burke's up to bat. smokes 106 off the bat to the shortstop. He catches it, doubles off Dylan Dryling. I mean, that just stuff you can't even make up happened this weekend, and it sucks. But you know, stuff not going your way, and then you it becomes an avalanche of then there's errors and there's giving up walks and hitting batters and things like and not getting runners in when you had the opportunity to, base running mistakes, and it just that's how you get swept in the SEC is exactly how we played this weekend.
And that's one of the most frustrating things among many is, they say the baseball gods will reward
Mhm.
you. Like if you smoke one like that, bad luck, but next time, next guy that comes up, maybe he hits it off the hands, but it's a blooper that falls in. That to happen, you got to put the bat on it though. Like there's an equal exchange of, hey, tough luck, you smoked that one. Somebody will get it back later for you. But when you watch strike three, you can't factor in that equal exchange just because you're not putting in what you're supposed to maybe get the luck there. Like I think the most signifying, I don't know what way to put it, at bat I saw was Kyle Booker, 3 strikes. The second strike call was a tad in, probably wasn't a strike, but instead of saying, hey, bad call, but doesn't matter, I'm going to rip one next pitch, watches one right down the middle, doesn't even swing at it. It's like,
Oh, we
I get
we
it.
struck out on strike two every single, like, a lot.
Yeah. It's like, I get it. And hey, it was a bad call. A lot of what I've seen this year aren't terrible calls that we're
Yeah.
arguing with, but like, I get it. I understand the gripe, especially when you're not winning. You think everything is bigger than it is. You think a call is even
Mhm.
worse. The second strike call on Booker, you go back and watch it, wasn't good. But at the same time, like the third strike is a ball right down the middle. Like you can't. That's where we talk about like, hey, ball don't lie in other sports. Like, hey, bad call, but here's a gift to make up for. Like, here's one right down the middle. And for some reason, Kyle thought it was low, but it's like, even if it's bottom of the zone, like, they're going to call that. Like, I would have called
Mhm.
that. And you just don't, when you don't put in your end of it, like, then you can complain all you want to, but you're still going back to the dugout the same way. Like, you don't get the opportunity to make up for it. Like, you don't get that gift back. You got to walk to the dugout and woe is me again.
Well, it kind of goes back to, like, I mean, middle school and high school. Like, there's times where you hit one when I mean, not me, but there's times when you hit one really hard
Not
at
me either.
somebody, and they catch it. It's just right at somebody, but they say keep hitting because eventually, like, you'll get a Jared Dickey where, like, he's a hitter. He's going to put the bat on. It's going somewhere. And it's kind of baseball is kind of rewarding at times where they reward you with a little bit of luck, where it just bloofs right over the shortstop, or right over the first or third baseman. And he did that. That's kind of how he scored that. I mean, it wasn't the most beautiful swing and contact, but he put it where somebody wasn't, and it scores 2 runs. You give yourself a chance, you put the bat on the ball, and Tennessee hasn't done enough of that.
And we're not asking for world beaters. We're not asking for 106 off the bat every time. It's a sport, Landon, where 3 out of 10 times, if you succeed 3 out of 10 times for your entire career, that's 30% for your entire career. You do that for 15 years, you're going to the Hall of Fame. I
Yeah.
understand it's a hard sport. We're not
Mhm.
asking for everything to be a Drew Gilbert walk-off bomb. We're not asking for everything to be Jordan Beck rocks back and knocks one into the river. Like, but at the same time, we're not seeing a tenth of that this year. And when it looks like guys just don't care either, like that's the part that just really sinks you then.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a difficult weekend. I don't have a lot more. I guess we can. Do you want to do an MVP?
I mean, it's Jared Dickey. I mean,
Okay. I
yeah,
think we'll just both agree that it's Jared
yeah,
Dickey.
yeah.
If you want to throw Gavaris Tears in there too, I thought he did well enough this weekend where he should be in the lineup somewhere, some way.
Hon- Honorable mention Chase Burns too, just because maybe he got his fire back a little bit because he looked not completely back to the Chase Burns of old, but there was glimpses that we've seen that we haven't seen this year so far. So maybe that's a bright spot we're talking about next week. Is at least if he's back on the Saturday game, at least maybe we'll win
Yeah,
that one.
yeah. Got to find a way to win some of these games down the stretch. I don't think you can get swept again. I mean, that was demoralizing, and you have Vanderbilt, who you swept last year, so they've circled this series, and they're going to give you kind of everything they got, and it's one of the best teams in the country. So it's going to be tough, but Lindsey Nelson be rocking, and I'm not. I guess I'm tapping the panic button, but I'm not giving up. I think that there is talent on this team, and I think they've showed that they can beat anybody. Now they got to put it together and find some consistency because right now they have none.
If two people won't give up, it will be us two. We will go down with the
Yeah,
ship. We
hundred
will be
percent.
here every week telling you for what are we at 36 minutes what we think is wrong and how to
Hmm.
fix it. And
Yeah, there's no
I
such
think
thing as a white flag over here.
I think we've hit the nail on the head more times than we haven't. With our batting average, I think we'd be best on the team right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I'd swing. I'm not looking at third strike. I'll tell you that.
We are giving each other some softballs though. We're kind of setting each other up, so that part is a
Yeah.
little bit easier. But hey,
I will say this: I play Top
podcast
Golf.
podcast is not easy,
It's not.
dog.
It's not. It's a tough job. Actually, a lot of people think this is my full time job. It is not. I wish, but podcasting don't pay the bills, unfortunately.
You don't make 1,000 per
I
episode.
don't. Not yet. I mean, it's up there, but not yet. I
I
gotta.
thought I thought Caleb was shafting you
Yeah, I
too.
gotta get a few more NIL deals before that works.
Yeah,
But nachos will be flowing this weekend, 100%. So we'll see you guys there. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next weekend talking about the series against Vanderbilt. Something's got to change. Thanks for listening, and we're out.